Hello world, I am Retro Indie Josh, and today we are checking out Genopanic by MobyRate, a metroidvania released on Steam. I played my copy on PC, and full disclosure, I received a free review copy of it from Keymailer. The game will be coming out April 5th, according to Keymailer, although Steam still says coming soon, so I don't know if they've changed that or they just haven't put the date on Steam, who knows. So let's begin by talking about the good aesthetic parts of the game. I think the graphics are relatively nice, it's good crisp retro goodness. There's a few extra effects that modern games like to use, like screen shake and chromatic aberration, but generally it's not overdone the way that I've seen in a lot of platformers, so it's very nice. The sound and music are solid, there's a kind of spacey synthwave vibe to most of the tracks, and some more ambient ones as you start exploring the world, and a lot of sound sources that really bring the world to life. For the most part, the sounds are not terribly annoying. The HUD is clear, it's readable, it's easy to figure out how much health you have, there's a nice little mini-map as well as a full screen map if you get lost, and all of the objectives are relatively clear with achievement-style pop-ups that make you feel like you're making progress. On the gameplay end, the controls feel great, it's nice and tight, jumping and dashing feel especially good. I love the double jump, I love the hover, it's all very nice. Most of the abilities are things that you would expect, like dashing and double jumping and hovering, as previously mentioned. But one thing that makes the game a little bit unique is the breakaway walls mechanic. So some of the walls, you just walk into them and they break away. Sometimes the floors break away, sometimes the ceilings break away. So there's a little bit more of an exploration flavor to that. Sort of feels SteamWorld-ish because you're almost digging, but it's kind of automatic. Or a little bit like finding bombable walls in Metroid without having to actually bomb them. Looking at the less favorable aesthetic parts of the game, some of the breakaway walls are kind of hard to find. They might not have any sort of signal on them. For the most part, they have caution tape or cracks or something that guides you toward them, but there are a few cases where you may be bonking into a bunch of walls to try to find them, which feels very 1985 Metroid. There are fences in the background that you can climb on, and it does a good job of tutorializing this, but I kind of missed the tutorial pop-up when I played, and even though it told me to press up, it was gone by the time I figured it out. The fences in the background are pretty much the same color as the background, and they're dark, so they don't really look interactive, so I really struggled at this part. But also, the sound this box makes is absolutely obnoxious. I don't know why that was the decision, because most of the other sounds are relatively subtle. On to the gameplay problems. The map design is relatively linear, which makes it easy not to get lost, but it kind of doesn't feel like a Metroidvania, because you have the central hub, and it splits into different areas, but you basically just go into that area and there's a loop, and you come back. Now, the beta version that I was given was not a full copy of the game, so it's possible that later on in the game there will be reasons to come back to these areas and explore a bit more, but as far as I could tell, there wasn't anywhere to really go off the beaten path. So I really would have preferred more area to explore and more of a reason to return to old areas. The physics is either the bog standard engine physics system or a normal physics system because it doesn't really behave game-ish. One thing that I always recommend, especially for platformers and puzzle platformers, is if you're going to have physics, you need to make sure that you customize the physics so that they fit the gameplay better than just being normal physics. There were a couple times I got stuck because a box went rogue and it sort of crammed itself into a corner and I couldn't get it out of there. Generally, they have the levels laid out so that it makes up for this, but it's a shame that the levels make up for the default physics system rather than having a custom physics system and allowing more flexible design options. There is a creature capturing mechanic which sounded like a big part of the game based on the material that I looked at and also how you start the game, but really you just kind of capture them and that's it. It's like a pickup, so it would be nice to see some way to use the creatures. There isn't much incentive to kill enemies unless they block you because they don't drop health pickups or ammo pickups or anything like that. So for the most part, once I realized this, I just ignored the enemies entirely unless they happened to be in my way. The one thing that kind of upset me was that the beta version was essentially a demo, and I really wanted to try out the whole game because it's hard to really get a proper review of a game unless you've played the entire thing. So the part that I finished was less than an hour and a half, closer to an hour and 15 minutes, and it looked like there was going to be a cool chase section right at the end that I really would have liked to play, but it just sort of ended. And I think I'm a little frustrated with this on principle as well, because to me, Keymailer should only be used for full games. So overall, I would say that Genopanic is a decent, no-frills Metroidvania. It's got fun combat and some interesting puzzles. It would be nice to have more on the animal capture mechanic. It would be nice to have more branching paths and a reason to return to previous areas. Maybe also a quicker way to switch weapons, because one at a time limits your options, really. So something like Mega Man 9 with the right stick to select the weapons would possibly be better and allow for more options of combining the powers. So I'd recommend the game if you want a quick standard Metroidvania, and if the price is right for you. They haven't released what the price is going to be, so I can't tell, but I think if it fits within your budget for a small Metroidvania, it's probably worth checking out. Thank you for listening to my review of Genopanic. I hope you enjoyed it. I am hoping to get back into making some more reviews on YouTube with indie games from Keymailer and retro games that I'm achievement hunting through, as well as some more videos about games from the 8-Bits to Infinity game jams and any other game jams that I happen to be covering on my stream. I am back to streaming on a semi-regular basis, so make sure you check me out on Twitch. There's a link in the description, and if you're interested in Genopanic, there is also a link in the description to the Steam page. Thanks for watching. I have been and always will be Retro Indie Josh, and I'll see you in the next one.